what's new on the Burlington waterfront. Hey, now it's happening at the waterfront on Lake Champlain. Whatever the weather, there's so much to do on the new waterfront, the Burlington waterfront.
Welcome to On the Waterfront. I'm your host, Mariah Riggs, and this month I'm excited to have Adam Avery, Executive Director of ANEW Place, on the show. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you for having me.
So I think to kind of get into this, I wanted to ask ANEW Place, for people who aren't familiar with it, what exactly is the ANEW Place and what do you do?
Yeah, ANEW Place is a 20-bed sober shelter and a transitional housing program. And we've been around since 1982.
Wow.
But back then, we were called the Burlington Emergency Shelter.
Oh, okay.
And so it had a different name. And back in 1982, we were an overnight emergency shelter, meaning that anybody who was unhoused could come,
Okay.
and they could get a bed for the night, a meal, and a safe place to sleep. Mm-hmm. And in the morning, they left and recycle again the next evening. Mm-hmm. Well, in 2014, we shifted the model to be a transitional housing program.
Oh, okay.
And so what that means is now when people come to us, they're not with us just for overnight. They're there typically between 3 and 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so that becomes their home.
That's a really long-term commitment.
Yeah, it is. But that's what we want to provide for them, so they can find some stability, right? Do the things they need to go to do in places they need to go to move into permanent housing. So that's what makes us the transitional housing program.
Okay. So, you know, and it seems like that's a much more holistic approach to, like, you know, getting people back into society. It's not just like an emergency shelter situation. It's really a rehabilitation sort of like program.
Yeah, that's definitely our niche. Although I will say the emergency shelter programs are necessary and really important, doing great work.
Well, as we know in Burlington,
Yeah.
it is incredibly important.
Yeah, and we need more of that. But we're kind of that bridge that gets folks from emergency shelter into permanent housing. And so last year, we had 50 guests stay at our shelter, and 22 of them ended up in permanent housing.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. And so we're that bridge. And so it's the place for people to come who are ready to pursue permanent housing, right? So we provide case management every week. We're setting individualized and personalized goals with them, trying to make them what we call renter ready, so that they can
You're
move
going to have
into
to
permanent
tell me
housing.
what renter ready is, because I'm very curious about that terminology. Because I think it's important for people who might not be familiar with how the transitional housing process works. So somebody, you know, I'm assuming there's an application process or some sort of process for access to the ANEW Place. I'm sure you guys are having a lot of need. I'm sure there's a lot of need for the ANEW Place, but you only have a certain number of beds. So
Right.
I apply for the program. You get into the program. So how does the journey through ANEW Place look for somebody who comes in?
Everyone comes in differently. We have some folks who just knock on our front door and say, hey, I need a place. And so we explain to them that we're not an overnight emergency shelter, but we do have a program, and we do like an interview process. Sometimes we get referrals from other agencies that we partner with in town, other shelters, other organizations that refer folks to us who would be a good fit for our program. So yeah, there's an application process. There's usually an interview to see if it'll be a good fit for the person who's applying. And then we have a 4-phase continuum of care. So once they come into the program, again, it's usually between 3 and 6 months that they're with us until we can get them into permanent housing.
All right.
And so the first phase we call a new start. And that's essentially when somebody comes and shows up at the house.
Okay.
So they're starting new.
Yes.
A new start.
Okay.
And
yeah.
for most of our folks, we're working with folks who are chronically unhoused, which means they've been sleeping rough for a year or longer.
Okay.
Right, and so that first a new step phase is just an opportunity for them to catch their breath.
Yeah.
Right, because they've been sleeping rough. They've been trying to figure out day by day, hour by hour, just how to survive.
I'm sure there's a flight panic kind of response there that's just kind of baked in at that point.
There is, and shelter living is challenging,
Yeah.
as you can imagine. Like, we live in a family, right?
Yeah,
we know
yeah.
how challenging that can be. So imagine when you're in a house with a whole bunch of strangers.
Yeah.
And so that first phase is about 2 to 3 weeks. We just let people catch their breath. They get their bed, they get warm meals that are brought each night. They have a place just to land, a place to gather themselves.
Cortisol kind of comes
Yeah,
down,
exactly.
you know, they kind of
Exactly.
regroup
Yes.
and find their center again.
Yeah, so we call that part a new start.
Okay.
And then the second phase of our program, we call a new step. And this is where our case management comes in.
Okay.
So folks who are in our program,
Yep.
it's required that they meet with the case manager once a week.
Okay.
And what they're doing in that meeting is they're talking about individualized personal goals that they have. Maybe it's to get out of debt. Maybe it's to save money for a first and last month's rent. Maybe it's to get a car. Maybe it's to get better employment. Whatever the case is. Where maybe it's family reconnection.
Yeah.
And so we're working with them every week.
And
in
those
that
are
case
their
management.
own. So they work with the caseworker on their own personal, individualized goals.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Yep.
that's wonderful. So it's kind of like a self-directed. So people have their own kind of like, they're part of the process. It's not
Yes.
like you're actually just throwing it at them. They become part of their sort of rehabilitation.
Yeah. The way we say that is
Yeah.
with and not for.
Oh, I like. Okay,
We're not
all
going
right.
to do
yeah.
things for you. We're going to
Yep.
do things with you, and we're going to help you so that you can accomplish this on your own.
Yeah, because you give them the responsibility and the tools to like get to those goals.
Yeah.
Okay, so this the second phase.
Yep. Second phase, a new step, where the
Okay.
case management comes in. The third phase we call a new leaf. And this is where the guests really do start to turn over a new
Okay.
leaf because they've been with us for a while. They've been doing case management, and now they're working toward renter readiness.
Okay.
Right? They're learning budgeting. They're doing housing navigation and figuring out, well, what can I afford and where would I want to live and what these applications, I have to fill out these applications and how does this work and who do I need to talk to?
Yeah.
And so we're providing them some tools,
Yeah, and support.
hopefully that they'll carry with them into their permanent housing. But that's the
Yeah, because it's almost
leaf
like an
phase.
educational thing. So as they're rehabilitating back into society, they're learning the tools that will hopefully carry them forward.
Yeah.
When they reintegrate back into like rent and like the day-to-day life, you know, of being a housed individual.
Yeah, that's right. And we work with community partners who come in and help us with that. So like Northfield Savings Bank comes in. They did
Really?
they did a budgeting class with our guests.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And we
That's
have
so fabulous.
some volunteers from the community who come
I
in.
love
do-
you, Northfield Savings.
Yeah,
I didn't
they're-
realize you
they're
were
the
that
best.
cool. That's
They're the
so
best.
cool. Yeah.
We have volunteers come in and do cooking classes, safe food handling classes, just things that folks can carry
Life
with
skills.
them, life skills, into their permanent housing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that that also leads me to another question. When people are coming into the program, are you finding that basic life skills are lacking? That there is, that there are gaps in like sort of their life skills capacity?
I think it depends on the person who's come
Okay.
in because they all have such unique stories and backgrounds. That being said, again, a lot of the folks we're working with are chronically unhoused. And so even if they had those skills, they need to be sharpened, right?
Yeah.
They need to be kind of retooled a little bit.
Yeah.
Or just encouraged that, hey, you've got this.
Confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Confidence, because I have a little experience with the unhoused, and my experience around that is that when something so displacing actually happens to an individual, a lot of the confidence or the ability to assert yourself and like move forward can be lacking because it's so crushing. Like the day to day can be so hard, on the feeling of capacity for the individual.
For sure. As well as the stigma that comes with being unhoused, right? Where community approaches you in a way of like, oh, this is just a problem we need to get rid of. And so that has an effect.
Yeah.
And so we want to
Lift them up.
Exactly,
And give them kind of the support so that they can then move forward with their lives and get out of the situation that they
So
found
it's
themselves in.
great for our guests to see community supports come in
Yeah.
to our shelter and offer those because they're
Somebody
rooting for
cares.
them. They're caring for them. They're
Yeah.
rooting for them. They're like, believe in them.
And I'm sure you see a difference too as people go through the program, getting these kinds of supports and caring and people investing in them, how their confidence changes over the course of the program.
For sure, because it's not transactional, it's relational then. And so the people who are investing in them, it makes our guests invest back in the community. And they're looking for a way to pay that forward. So we love that.
Oh, that is wonderful. So there's like a cylindrical place with that. Do you do any sort of stuff with alumni?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we
okay.
just had a barbecue this summer with our alumni and got together. It was great. We celebrate people who just moved into their own housing.
Oh my gosh,
it's wonderful.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so so it's kind of wonderful actually. So there is like this community, the more and more that people get put through the program, the more the community builds.
Yeah, it grows.
And it grows, which is something that also is self-fulfilling.
Yeah, and that's why we have that fourth phase of our program.
Oh, I didn't get to fourth phase. All right, fourth phase.
You already introduced it.
Right.
We call that a new life. And that's when somebody moves into permanent housing, their own permanent housing. And what makes us unique is we offer up to 2 years of case management and aftercare after they're in permanent housing.
Wow.
And so the relationship doesn't end when they move into permanent housing.
But I bet like people say recidivism or whatever, like going back into back in. I bet that program keeps people together because they have a check-in point. It's not like they get out and they drop off a ledge and they're all alone again.
For sure. And as you mentioned, the recidivism rate in our county is really high. Yeah. Basically more than half of folks who are entering homelessness in Chittenden County were once housed and going back to homelessness. And so that number needs to come down. All the agencies, partners, all the community partners, all the shelters like us, over 50%. I think it's 52%.
That's quite the statistic.
Yeah. And so we want to bring that number down.
Yeah.
And the aftercare and case management is definitely a piece of that. Beyond that, we want to connect those folks to other community supports. Right? Because we don't want to be their sole source of community. We want to create a sense of community around them. So the more folks we can connect them with, the better supported they're going to be.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. And so it's sort of like the rings around you throw the pebble in the pond, and there's all the rings. Yeah. And so that's sort of the support system. I wanted to so somebody finds housing. Are they meeting with the caseworker for those 2 years afterwards? Like talking about their job, their employment, their budget, those kinds of things, so they can really be successful in the outside world? Yeah,
those are all the conversations that are having. Utilities. What do I do if this comes up? and by the time that our folks have gotten into permanent housing, they know who their medical supports are. Okay. They know like the places that they can turn to, and we're just there to remind them, to encourage them, to help them if they get stuck, if they need anything. And I might be wrong in this, but you also take people who have had drug issues in the past, and that's part of the ANEW Place program for people with problems with drug use. Is that also true? Yeah, we are a sober shelter. Okay. So what we ask of folks before they come into our program is to reach 30 days sobriety. Okay. And last year, 70% of folks who came into our program maintained their sobriety, which is amazing. That is an incredible and so number. Sometimes all folks need is a place to land where they have support and community that's all shooting for the same goal. So they've done the 30 days before they get to you, which is really interesting. So it's almost like they've made the effort to get to a place where they can actually enter the program in a different place. They're ready. Yeah, they're ready. Yep. So there's actually like a preliminary process of preparing for the program. So during those 30 days, I mean, are they on the streets? Do they have programs for all different stories. Some folks are coming out of a Serenity House or a Valley Vista program, and they're coming to us. Or some of them come to us. They're sober, and they're just looking for a sober environment to live in as they get their things. Which can be hard as a homeless person in Burlington. For sure. That can be really tough. That's incredible. So so how many beds do you have again? 20. So 20. Yep. And you guys are located 89 North Street, right in the old North End. Okay. Yep. And so and I don't really know much about the facility. So can you give us kind of like a verbal facilities tour of what ANEW Place is like? It's a small house. Yeah. Okay. On 89 North Street that was converted into a shelter. Okay. And there's been additions since then. We built the second story, I think, in the early 2000s.
Okay.
We're renovating our kitchen right now and 2 of our bathrooms. But essentially, it's a house. And so we have this big kitchen area. We have a living room area, a sitting room area, and it's all open floor plan.
Oh, that's great.
So it's like a big home. Like,
Yeah.
exactly. And we have a bunkhouse, a guy's bunkhouse on the first floor, which we have 14 beds in. So you can imagine coming in on your first night, and there's a bunkhouse with 14 beds.
And people you don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, that transition's a hard one, and so.
Yeah. and I'm sure you have strong personalities, and like everybody has to,
just like you and
learning
me and,
to live
and all
with
of our
your
friends and family.
Right?
Yeah, all the time. But that's also part of just being renter ready. Is like, how do you get along with your neighbors, and you have to learn how to kind of compromise. Exactly.
And actually talk through conflict.
Yeah. Yeah.
Conflict resolution is also a huge part of that. So 14 beds in the male bunk room.
And then upstairs, we have 3 rooms with 2 beds each for females.
Oh, wow. So the women get lucky. They get like a roommate.
Yeah, they get a little bit more of a
yeah,
private
okay. Hey, I'm fine with that.
And that was the addition that we made, is we built that up there,
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, so I kind of wanted to ask, so you obviously have volunteers who are coming in, and how would, some of the people listening to this, how would somebody volunteer at ANEW Place?
Well, we're a small staff team. We have 4 full-time staff members and 4 part-time staff members to run the whole thing. So we need volunteers. And we're fortunate to have a really good, deep volunteer base. We have over 120 volunteers.
Wow.
Over 100 volunteers are part of our meal provider program. So every night they'll cook a meal for our guests and bring it to the house. Sometimes they'll have the meal with them, sometimes they just drop it off. But that's a really important part of our program.
Oh, wow.
Because it feeds our guests' bodies, but it also feeds their souls, because every night a community member's coming and saying, we're here for you. We're your neighbors.
We care.
We care.
I mean, some of the people I would assume coming into ANEW Place haven't felt like anyone has cared for a while. And that compassion, that sense of you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that somebody, that you are important, that there are people there that are standing for you. Food is kind of that great intermediary too.
We say that the table is the great equalizer, right? Because no matter who you are, where you are, anything, when you sit down, you're admitting, I need food, I need nourishment. So do you.
I'm human.
Exactly.
We're all human.
And so a lot happens with those 100+ meal providers that bring that. And then we have folks who volunteer in the evenings. We call those our evening volunteers, that come in just to socialize with the guests. They'll play games with them. They'll hang out with them. Just socialize with them. On Thursday nights, we have a few guys from a local church to come and do a Bible study. So just like evening opportunities for people to come in and just be around.
That's so there actually is these sort of engaging volunteer community add-ons that enrich the lives and experiences of the people that are transitioning in ANEW Place, which is so cool. It's a great part of the program.
Yeah. It really reminds us all that we're neighbors, right? So even folks who are in-house are in-house neighbors and friends.
Yeah. And it's such a way to kind of give back. So if you go to www.anewplace.org, I'm assuming viewers can find information on volunteering?
Yeah, they can.
Okay.
Yep, there's a page on there for volunteering.
Okay, so if you're interested in volunteering, go check out the website, again, www.anewplacevermont.org, and go under volunteers and check that out if you really are. I mean, it's a great place to volunteer, and it's a wonderful community organization. And if you want to make food, this is the place to go.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And so they do food, they do night things. Is there other things that people volunteer for?
The thing that I'm most excited about for volunteers is we're launching a new program in October that we're calling the Neighbor to Neighbor program. And what we're going to do is we're going to recruit volunteers from the community to be a good neighbor to our graduates. Kind of like when a neighbor,
like not a mentor, but like there's a you have a community partner person.
Yeah, like if a neighbor moves into your neighborhood, what do you do? You tell them, oh, here's where I get my car fixed. You can trust that mechanic.
Yeah, right.
Here's where to see a good sunset. I'm going to introduce you to this neighbor down 2 houses down. So we're looking at that as like not being their sole source of community and friendship. We wouldn't call it a mentorship for that reason. That's why we're using the neighbor language because we want them to be connectors.
Yeah, well,
how can we connect our graduates
and put them into the fabric of that community?
Yeah, if we can introduce them to people, places, and opportunities.
Yeah, then they can weave themselves into that community, and
they can weave themselves.
They weave themselves into the community, and then also they're much less likely to end up homeless again if they have those supports and actually become engaged within a community.
Yeah, because that sense of belonging matters, and so like housing all by itself doesn't always end homelessness, but housing and community together. Does. Because you have a place and you have the belonging, support. A people, a place, opportunities to volunteer, to give back, to serve. Right?
Yeah, and it's all that confidence and that relationship that makes you feel like you can move forward. Yeah. So as far as like employment goes with ANEW Place, when somebody comes in, are all the people who come into ANEW Place employed, or do you sometimes help people?
Most of them are not.
Okay.
And we will help them find employment. Some are when they come to us. Last year, out of our 50 guests, we helped 24 of them find employment. Wow. This year, I think we've served 27 guests in our shelter. We've housed 13, 4 more in the next couple of weeks, which we're really excited
Congratulations.
about. Yeah. And we've helped 12 increase their income. So
okay, so
yeah, so that's part of our program, and the case management is okay. So as a personalized goal, how can we help you get to the place you want to be? Is sometimes,
because I've, this is again me hearing hearsay from other people, but that's sometimes the hardest part of homelessness is you can't. It's a vicious cycle because you can't take a shower to get to the job interview and look like presentable for a job interview, which means you can't go and get the job, which will eventually give you money, so you can't get out of homelessness.
Yeah, and more than that, you need rest, and you need an address, because nobody's going to hire you without an address. So we can provide that, a place to get mail, right?
Yeah, right. And do you have like a computer option so that they can get online and then do things like job searches? I mean, that's the other thing that I would assume is a huge barrier in homelessness, is that most everything now is online.
Yes. We have some great community partners. One of them is the Community Resource Center. They provide a lot of our guests with cell phones, which is a huge deal, right? To connect to the world, to apply for jobs, to like have conversation.
Exactly. Somebody can call you back about a job.
Yes.
I mean, because I would think that those are all the hurdles that not having permanent resident put in the way of you actually being able to lift yourself out of the current predicament that you're in.
Yeah.
I mean, again, as an employer, you're just like, oh, I should be able to call you back on your cell phone and, tell you to come in for an interview. Well, if you can't reach that person, how do you get them back in for that interview?
Right.
How many roughly, do you know, when you, out of the people you get in, how many don't have jobs?
Well, out of the 50 we served last year, 0 had jobs when they came to us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, some of those are receiving benefits, or they're disabled, and they need help applying for that. Yeah. But we're trying to help all of our guests increase their income so they can afford housing, right? Because housing's not cheap. And so,
as we know.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of steps to get there. And so our guests work really hard. From the minute they come to us, they're already working really hard at getting to the place where they can have their own permanent housing. And we're just trying to help them with that.
Yeah, and to be able to support themselves and get themselves back on their feet so that they can just be productive members of society again. And they want that. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that sometimes people forget, is that there is a huge percentage of people within the homeless community who want that, but unfortunately the barriers are so insurmountable that they can't really quite get there.
And people who've had it.
Yeah.
A lot of us are just 1 or 2 paychecks away from losing our housing. Right, and so if you hurt throughout your back, or you get hurt, like, we could end up there too. And so there's
and that's important to think about from a societal standpoint. We tend to like to think ourselves, oh, they'll never, that won't happen to me. I'm not, but it really is true, especially I think now more so than ever.
Yeah, and if you're not confident in navigating all the resources you have to in order to get, composition, disability, then, and you know how hard that can be and how complex that is.
Yes, I very much do.
And so there really are all of those different kind of facets and components of figuring out
but
what,
it's so
what it is to
holistic.
maintain
I mean,
housing.
one of the things I wish, I wish somebody would come in and do a case study on what the ANEW Place does. Because I think one of the best things about a ANEW Place is sort of the structure and the commitment you have to each individual and the process you have towards bringing that person up, bringing them back into society and setting them on a path that to actual success and reclaiming their lives, which I think is such an incredible model that the ANEW Place kind of exemplifies, which I wish there were like 500 of them all over the place
more,
doing.
yeah,
I know,
sure,
right? I mean, where's the franchise? We need to start like a ANEW Place all over the place. So I wanted to also obviously, I mean, we're in Burlington. It's been a hard few years here. You're working really in the trenches of a lot of what Burlingtonians are seeing in our community, and I think another important conversation is, what are you seeing that gives you hope?
Well, as you mentioned, Vermont, I think, is 4th in the nation per capita for people experiencing homelessness.
Wow.
Which is mind-blowing.
That's shocking.
And we were 2nd in the nation the year before that. So now we're 4th, so there's progress.
Well,
there.
that's actually, it's sad, but that is a celebratory.
And what really gives me the hope, though, is the community partnerships, agencies, and organizations that all collaborate together.
Okay.
So once a month we have what we call our CCHA meetings, the Chittenden County Homeless Alliance meetings. And there are representatives there from agencies, organizations that are all working together to get people housed, to shelter folks, to provide services and resources.
What is this called? I didn't even know about this.
The Chittenden County Homeless Alliance.
That's fabulous. I'm so glad we have one.
Yep.
I didn't
Once
know
a
that.
month.
Yeah,
And then
That's
bi-weekly,
great.
all the Burlington shelters get on a Zoom call, and we're working together to try to see how can we support one another, who needs what. So the collaboration is what really gives me hope, because we could all silo into our own little different.
That'd be so un-Vermont-y of you, by the way. But yes.
But it's wonderful to collaborate together and partner together and be like, how can we help each other?
So what are the other community organizations like ANEW Place that do similar work in Chittenden County?
Oh gosh, there's a lot.
There are,
There's COTS, which is a huge one, been around forever.
Yeah.
There's Champlain Valley of Economic Opportunity. They're massive, do all kinds of positive stuff. They run the Community Resource Center. There's Bridges. There's Elmwood. There's a number of.
Some of these I've never even heard of. So this is actually illuminating for me.
So at our monthly gathering, I would guesstimate there's probably between 40 and 50 folks who gather once a month from different partnerships: Howard Center, Pathways, United Way. So many. I'm leaving out some.
I know, and we apologize to all of you. But this is illuminating for me, because I didn't realize how robust this whole kind of like community
the ecosystem is strong and growing and committed. That's what I love. That's what gives me hope.
So, obviously volunteering with the ANEW Place. Is there other ways, like people who are watching this can get involved, because I hear from people all the time. How do I help? I know there's a problem. How can I help my community more with this problem, with this need, with these individuals, because I have a heart and I care? What would you say to those people?
I think a ton of Vermonters have the desire, they're eager to help. They just don't know how.
Exactly.
They're like, is this causing
what would you say
harm?
to them?
What I say to people is this.
Okay.
Here's how you can help.
Okay.
Take the time to see the person, like to really see them.
Okay.
Because sometimes when we come across someone who's unhoused, it's awkward. Like we want to help, but we're not quite sure what the best way is to do it. And so we just kind of avoid or distance ourselves. But I think there's so much that happens when you just take time to see a person.
Okay.
And so someone who's unhoused, just see them. That's a great contribution.
I love that. I think that's a good, so that's a great way to end, Adam. Thank you so much. If you see somebody who's unhoused, or you see people on the street, that is one small way to like look at somebody and acknowledge the holistic person,
Yeah.
and not just walk by and ignore the human being.
Love it.
That's a great way to end that. Adam, thank you so much for coming on the program this
having me.
month. It's been a delight to have you. And I will see you guys right back here next month.